Before we begin, drop a comment and tell me where you're tuning in from. Maybe you believe that successful people have it easy when it comes to finding the right partner. After all, they seem to have everything: status, achievements, and resources. Love should come naturally, right? But here's the truth most people don't realize. The higher you climb, the harder it can be to know who truly wants you and not just the lifestyle you represent. That's what makes this conversation important. I want to share something deeply personal, perhaps the most honest thing I can say about my own life. Despite having all the things society claims should make love effortless, I still find myself struggling to meet the kind of woman who could build something real and lasting with me. Not because she doesn't exist, but because success itself has built invisible walls that block authentic connection. This isn't about self-pity or complaining, it's about vulnerability. About facing the paradox that the very victories meant to make life fuller have instead made love more complicated. And I know I'm not alone in this. Many driven people carry the same unspoken loneliness, a quiet struggle hidden behind ambition. That's why I want to talk about it openly today, because understanding why relationships become so complex for ambitious individuals might finally explain the unseen cost of success and why true love can sometimes feel more out of reach the more you achieve.
The woman I'm searching for is out there, but finding her feels almost impossible because of the circumstances created by my public profile and wealth. I'm not looking for someone who is drawn to status, recognition, or the lifestyle that comes with being associated with me. What I want is far deeper: a woman who truly wants to build a life together based on shared values, compatible personalities, and mutual respect. I need someone who is confident in her own worth and secure in her own accomplishments. Someone who doesn't feel the need to prove anything through the person she chooses to be with. At the same time, she should understand the demands of ambitious work, appreciate the time and energy meaningful projects require, and never resent the sacrifices that come with pursuing big goals. Most importantly, I want a relationship built on honesty and depth. I want someone who desires to know me completely, not the polished public version people see in interviews or media coverage, but the real me, the man who wrestles with self-doubt, makes mistakes in relationships, and sometimes feels the heavy gap between public expectations and personal reality. The truth is, my public image creates a strange paradox. It often attracts women who are chasing opportunity, advancement, or validation through association, while at the same time discouraging the very kind of woman who would be perfect for me but has no interest in the chaos of a high-profile life. The women who pursue me most aggressively usually see the relationship as a stepping stone rather than as an authentic connection between two people who genuinely enjoy each other and share a vision for the future. From the beginning, those connections feel hollow, because instead of being valued for who I am as a person, I feel like I'm being measured as a symbol, a resource, or a status upgrade. And what I long for, above everything, is to be loved not for what I represent, but for who I truly am. The women who would be truly compatible with me, the ones who are confident, accomplished, and grounded in their own goals and values, are often the very ones discouraged by the spotlight that surrounds my life. They already have fulfilling careers, meaningful relationships, and satisfying lives that don't require validation from wealth or fame. For them, being with me would likely mean more complications than rewards. And that's the cruel irony. The very success that should have made me more appealing as a partner has instead pushed away the women best suited for the kind of relationship I actually want. What's left is a divided landscape. On one side are women drawn to me for the wrong reasons: status, opportunity, or access. On the other side are women who could be genuine partners but avoid me entirely because of the public attention and pressures that come with my world. Between those extremes, there are painfully few who want a real connection and are also willing to navigate the complications of my circumstances. This is where the challenge deepens. Wealth and recognition create artificial dynamics in relationships that make it nearly impossible to know if someone's interest is authentic or opportunistic. When a woman is eager to spend time with me, I can't help but wonder, is she responding to who I am, or to what my lifestyle can offer? When she praises my work or ideas, is it sincere admiration or simply what she thinks I want to hear? That constant questioning builds a wall around me, a defensive barrier meant to protect myself from being used. But that same wall also blocks vulnerability and trust, the very foundations of intimacy. One conversation in particular brought this reality into sharp focus. I had been seeing a woman for several months, someone I cared for deeply and respected. She was intelligent, accomplished in her own career, and seemed to appreciate me as a person, not a symbol. But over dinner one evening, she looked at me and said words I'll never forget. "I feel like I'm dating two different people. There's the man I see when we're alone, thoughtful, funny, sometimes uncertain, and then there's the public figure that everyone else reacts to. I'm never sure which one I'm supposed to be with." That moment captured the heart of my struggle. Her observation forced me to confront a painful truth that my public identity had slowly begun to overshadow my actual personality. Even in the most intimate corners of my life, I had grown so used to projecting confidence, control, and competence that I almost forgot how to simply be myself, with all the natural flaws, doubts, and insecurities that authentic intimacy demands. It was as if I had been performing a role for so long that I didn't know how to step off the stage. Even when no audience was present, she continued, her voice steady but vulnerable. "When we go out together, I can feel people's eyes on us. They're not seeing two people having dinner. They're seeing you, the man from headlines, the figure everyone talks about, sitting with a woman, and they're wondering who I am, what I want, what role I play in your life. And if I'm being honest, sometimes I start wondering the same thing about myself." That moment revealed something I hadn't fully admitted to myself. Even when I found someone who seemed genuinely interested in me as a person, the circumstances surrounding my life created a constant fog of pressure and suspicion that could corrode even the strongest, most sincere connections. No matter how authentic her feelings might be, the outside world had a way of intruding, distorting, and placing doubt where there should have been trust. Eventually, she ended our relationship. Not because she didn't care, but because she realized that being with me demanded a level of exposure and scrutiny that she could never be comfortable with. Her words that night remain etched in my memory. "I want to be with someone whose success enhances our relationship, not someone whose success defines it. With you, your achievements take up so much space that there's no room left for us to simply be two ordinary people enjoying life together." That experience reshaped my understanding of love and companionship. I realized the challenge wasn't only finding someone who wasn't drawn to wealth or status, it was finding someone strong enough, grounded enough, and patient enough to navigate the relentless reality of my world. A woman who could handle the fact that strangers would observe, speculate, and judge. Someone who could accept that her identity might be overshadowed by her connection to me in the eyes of others. And beyond public perception. She would need to embrace the practical realities of my life. Security measures that strip spontaneity out of ordinary experiences. Travel schedules that require meticulous planning instead of carefree adventure. Social settings where she might feel silently assessed as though her worth was being measured against some invisible checklist. Most importantly, she would need to carry her own identity with pride and strength, to protect her sense of self while walking beside someone whose work and recognition constantly demanded attention. Perhaps the hardest truth of all is this: the kind of woman I'm searching for must not only love me for who I am, but also have the courage to exist fully as herself in a relationship where the world will always be watching. That combination, genuine affection, independence, resilience, and an unshakable sense of purpose, is rare, and while I know she exists, finding her feels like searching for a lighthouse in the middle of a storm, visible only to those willing to look past the waves of attention and into the heart of something real. The women I've dated seriously have all, in one way or another, struggled with the unique realities of being with someone whose life is constantly under public scrutiny. For some, it was the intimidating weight of attention, the uncomfortable reality that our private moments were rarely truly private, always vulnerable to speculation and commentary from strangers. For others, it was the exhausting logistics, the security measures that shadowed our movements, the tight scheduling that left little room for spontaneity, the unavoidable loss of normalcy that my world imposes. Many of them genuinely cared for me, sincerely, deeply but ultimately chose to walk away. And I don't blame them. The complications are real. Even the simplest experiences, dinner at a restaurant, a weekend trip, a casual gathering with friends, become entangled with planning, security, and the awareness that others are watching, analyzing and forming opinions about something that should belong only to us. That constant observation creates a pressure few relationships can withstand, especially in the fragile early stages when two people are just learning if their hearts truly align, but the external challenges are only half the story. The deeper difficulty lies inside me. Years of encountering people with hidden agendas have rewired the way I approach relationships. I've grown suspicious, hypervigilant, always searching for signs of manipulation or opportunism. Instead of simply enjoying someone's company and letting connection grow naturally, I find myself testing, evaluating, and second-guessing. This instinct protects me, yes, but it also builds walls so high that even the most sincere woman struggles to climb them. I've become skilled at maintaining surface-level warmth and charm while keeping my real thoughts, vulnerabilities, and fears locked away. The irony is cruel. In shielding myself from being used, I've made it nearly impossible for real intimacy to take root. The woman I'm searching for would need extraordinary patience, someone confident enough to endure my initial caution, without feeling rejected, resilient enough not to take my guardedness personally, and loving enough to wait while I slowly lower the barriers I've built over years of self-protection. But asking for that kind of persistence, on top of the external pressures of public life, sometimes feels like asking for the impossible, and so I'm forced to confront a sobering possibility. Maybe the kind of love I long for cannot coexist with the life I've built. Perhaps the very success that was meant to empower me has instead isolated me from the kind of partnership that makes success truly meaningful. I imagine her sometimes, the woman who could be right for me. She's not someone drawn to status or wealth, nor someone who sees relationships as ladders of opportunity. She's likely living a quiet but purposeful life, fulfilled by her own passions and accomplishments. She could be a teacher inspiring young minds, a doctor healing patients, an artist creating beauty, or an entrepreneur chasing her vision. What she isn't is someone chasing headlines, or someone hoping to elevate her social standing through the person she dates. The painful truth is that she's not looking for me. She's building her own life in a world far removed from mine, uninterested in the noise, the spectacle, and the complications that accompany it. And that realization led me to a loneliness deeper than solitude. Not the quiet solitude I often prefer, but the isolation of being surrounded by people who recognize my face yet don't truly know me. It's the ache of realizing that even friends and family begin to treat me differently, filtering their words and emotions as if I'm too fragile or too important to simply exist as myself. What I miss most is the freedom to be flawed without it becoming a story, to stumble without it being interpreted as weakness, to love without anyone questioning what that love represents. I long for the possibility of being cherished not for what I symbolize, but for who I am, the human beneath the image. The woman I hope to find will need to see past the noise and choose the man behind it. She will need to accept that the complications of my life aren't passing obstacles but permanent companions on our journey. She needs the strength to hold on to her own identity while standing beside me, the confidence to withstand scrutiny without losing herself, and above all, the wisdom to value our relationship for its authenticity rather than for the illusions it projects. Finding her feels like searching for a rare star in a crowded sky, but I believe she exists. And I've realized something important for her. To recognize me, I must first become more open, more vulnerable, more authentic than I've allowed myself to be. If I want love that is real, I must be willing to show who I truly am. Not just the polished version the world expects, some days. The search feels endless, but settling for convenience, attraction, or status-driven partnerships would only deepen the isolation. I've learned that true connection demands patience, faith, and the courage to let someone in even when trust feels risky. The right woman is out there, confident, grounded, and uninterested in the illusions of fame. She's worth the wait. Worth the work and worth becoming a better man for. Because when I finally meet her, I want her to fall for me, not the persona, not the status, but the flawed, hopeful, deeply human man beneath it all.